Eva was married to Derek for 6 years. They seemed happy, or at least she believed they were. Derek's younger brother, Jake, never truly liked her. He would make small, rude jokes and say things that made her uncomfortable. Sometimes, he would try to make her look bad in front of the family. Eva ignored it, thinking he was just immature. She never imagined he would one day destroy her life. One evening, everything changed. Derek came home cold and distant. He didn't speak much, just looked at Eva like she was a stranger. Then he told her he knew about the affair. He said Jake had shown him messages and photos that proved Eva was cheating with someone from her office. Eva was shocked. She had never cheated. She tried to explain, but Derek had already made up his mind. The next day, he packed a bag and left. He didn't give her a chance to speak. Soon after, Derek's mother called Eva a homewrecker and told her to stay away. The rest of his family cut her off completely. Then her job called. A client's wife had heard the rumors and didn't want to work with her. The company asked Eva to resign to avoid drama. In just a few days, she had lost her husband, her in-laws, her friends, and her job. People who used to smile at her now looked the other way. Some blocked her number. No one asked for her side of the story. Jake's lies had poisoned everything. Eva felt humiliated. She stayed quiet and disappeared from everyone's life. But behind closed doors, she didn't fall apart. She began saving everything: old texts, emails, call logs, GPS record. She recovered deleted messages and found security camera footage from the hotel where Jake claimed she had been. The footage proved she wasn't there. Every day, she added more proof to a hidden folder. Jake didn't know any of this. He thought she was broken and gone. But Eva wasn't planning to stay quiet forever. She was planning something else. Something careful, and something that would hit back even harder. Before everything went wrong, Eva and Derek were happy. They met at a company party, and from the beginning, things just clicked. Derek was kind, calm, and made Eva feel safe. They moved in together after a year and got married soon after. They didn't have a perfect life, but they trusted each other and worked as a team. Eva thought they were solid. They talked about starting a family. They shared goals, late-night laughs, and even silly arguments over who made better pancakes. Jake, Derek's younger brother, came around often. At first, Eva tried to be friendly. She included him in dinners, helped him with his job search, and even lent him money once when he said he was struggling. But something always felt a little off about him. He would make comments that sounded like jokes, but they weren't funny. Things like, "Wow, Derek finally found someone who listens to him," or, "I guess some women really can settle for less." It was subtle, but Eva noticed. Jake had a habit of showing up uninvited. Sometimes he'd pop in when Derek wasn't home and act like it was normal. Once, Eva found him in the kitchen, flipping through her mail. Another time, she walked into the living room and caught him looking through her phone, pretending he was just checking the time. When she asked what he was doing, he smiled and said, "Just being curious." It made her uncomfortable, but she didn't say anything to Derek. She didn't want to cause trouble between the brothers. Then came the strange moments. Jake started complimenting her in ways that felt wrong. He told her she looked good for someone who works all the time. He once said, "If Derek ever messes up, I'll be first in line." She laughed it off, tried to ignore it, but it made her skin crawl. She began to avoid being alone with him. One evening, when they all had dinner at Derek's parents' house, Jake made a joke about Eva being too smart for someone like Derek. Everyone laughed, but Eva saw how Jake looked at her, like he was challenging something, like he wanted her to react. She stayed quiet, but inside she started seeing things clearly. Jake didn't hate her because of something she did. He was jealous, not of Eva, but of what Derek had. Derek had a good job, a steady life, a partner who loved him. Jake didn't. He bounced between jobs, had short relationships, and was always asking for help. Eva realized that Jake didn't just want to break them apart. He wanted what his brother had. And when he couldn't have it, he decided to ruin it. That's when Eva started keeping distance. She stopped inviting Jake over unless Derek was home. She didn't answer his texts right away. She started locking her phone. It wasn't because she had anything to hide. It was because something in her gut told her Jake was dangerous. Not in a loud way, but in a slow, sneaky way. Still, she never expected just how far he would go. It started with a few strange looks. Eva noticed friends acting cold, not replying to her messages, or changing the subject when she walked into a room. She didn't understand what was happening at first. Then she heard from someone at work that a rumor was going around. People were saying she had been seen at a hotel with another man. Eva was shocked. She had never been to that hotel and had no idea where the story came from. At home, she asked Derek if he had heard anything. He said nothing at first, just looked at her. Then quietly he asked, "Is it true?" Eva froze. "What do you mean?" she asked. Derek said Jake told him everything, that she had been cheating. Jake had shown him pictures, too. Blurry photos of a woman from behind, walking into a hotel with a man. The woman looked like Eva, but it wasn't her. And then there were screenshots of messages, like a private chat full of flirty and secretive words. Eva tried to explain. The photos were fake. The messages weren't hers. But Derek didn't believe her. He said the proof looked real. He said Jake had no reason to lie. His voice was different, cold, distant, not the man she had married. Over the next few days, things got worse. Derek stopped talking to her unless he had to. He stayed late at work or went to his parents' house. One evening, his mother called Eva and yelled at her. She called her a homewrecker and said she had brought shame to their family. Eva tried to speak, but the woman hung up before she could say a word. Eva's heart felt like it was breaking. She cried alone in the bedroom. She checked the photos again and again, knowing they were fake but unable to prove it. She thought Derek would come around, that he would look her in the eye and believe her. But he didn't. One morning, Eva woke up and found Derek gone. His clothes were missing. His toothbrush. His watch. Everything. There was no note, no message. Just silence. Later that day, she received divorce papers. Just like that, her marriage was over. No explanation. No second chance. She couldn't breathe. Everything happened so fast. Her phone kept buzzing, friends asking questions, people whispering. She didn't know who believed her anymore. She didn't even know if anyone cared. Her world fell apart in a matter of days. The worst part wasn't the divorce or the rumors. It was knowing that the man she loved had believed a lie without even looking her in the eyes. He had trusted someone else, someone who had always wanted to see her fall. Eva sat in her living room alone, holding the divorce papers, staring at the door Derek had walked out of. She didn't know what to do next. All she knew was that her name had been dragged through the mud, and the person behind it was still walking free. Eva tried to hold on after Derek left, but everything kept getting worse. At work, people whispered when she walked by. Some stopped meeting her eyes. She told herself it would pass, that people would forget. But then her boss called her into the office. One of their biggest clients had pulled out of a project. The client's wife had heard the cheating rumors and said she didn't want to work with someone like Eva. "It's about image," her boss said. "I'm sorry, but we can't have this kind of attention." He didn't even ask if it was true. He just asked her to resign. Eva packed her things and walked out of the office with her head down. She had no job, no husband, and no one left to talk to. Friends who used to text every day suddenly stopped. Some read her messages and never replied. Others blocked her completely. No one asked how she was doing. No one asked if the rumors were real. She stayed in the apartment for days, barely eating. Her phone stayed silent. Social media was worse. Posts about betrayal, cheating, and people calling her names without saying them directly. But she knew they were about her. Jake had turned everyone against her, and he was proud of it. One day, Jake came over. He knocked like nothing had happened. When she opened the door, he smiled and said, "Need help moving out?" His voice was sweet but fake. Eva stared at him and didn't say a word. He looked around the room like he already owned it. Then he laughed softly and left. Eva didn't cry that time. She sat down at her desk, opened her laptop, and began working. Not on job applications. Not on anything public. She started collecting proof. She checked her phone records from the days Jake said she was at the hotel. She wasn't even in the area. She found receipts, GPS data, and old text messages. Some had been deleted, but she found ways to recover them. She pulled up emails, location tags, and even security camera footage from a store she visited that day. The timestamp showed she was nowhere near the hotel. Then she found the hotel's front desk contact. She asked if they had video from that week. It took time, but she got a short clip. It showed a woman entering the hotel with a man, but the woman wasn't Eva. The build was different. The hair color was slightly off, and the man wasn't anyone Eva knew. She saved everything in a folder. She labeled it with a simple name and locked it with a password. Each day, she added more. She made copies and stored them in different places: USB drives, cloud storage, email draft. She didn't tell anyone. She said nothing online. No posts, no comments, no replies. When she heard Derek was dating someone new, she didn't react. It hurt, but she stayed quiet. She had nothing left to lose. No one believed her. No one defended her. But Eva wasn't finished. She was just getting started. She spent her days in silence, clicking through old records and files, trying to piece together what had really happened. Every message, every timestamp, every call log was checked twice. Some nights, sleep didn't come at all. Something felt off. The more she looked, the more the pieces didn't fit. There were messages supposedly sent from her phone, but she didn't remember writing them. Some were sent at times she knew she had been sleeping or out without her phone. At first, she doubted herself. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she missed something. But when she checked the phone company records, it became clear. Those messages weren't sent from her phone. Someone had copied her number. Cloning a number wasn't easy, but it wasn't impossible either. And now it made sense. That's how the fake messages looked so real. They had come from her number, but not from her phone. Everything had been planted to make the lie seem true. A cold, sinking feeling grew stronger. If someone went that far, what else had they done? Old memories rushed back. Seeing a dark car parked near the office more than once, footsteps behind her when she walked home late, phone calls that hung up before anyone spoke. All of it made sense now. She searched through weeks of security footage from stores she'd visited and looked at pictures saved automatically. The same car showed up in more than one place. It had followed her, always staying just far enough away. She decided it was time for help. A private investigator was hired. Someone with experience, someone who knew how to find the small things others missed. He listened quietly as she shared everything. Nothing about the story surprised him. In fact, he said this kind of setup had become more common, someone twisting technology to ruin another person's life. He worked quickly. Within days, he confirmed the number cloning and found even more disturbing detail. There were payment records linking someone to a man who had been following her for weeks. They found photos taken from a distance, messages asking for proof. It was all there, clear and sharp. All the evidence was copied, saved, and backed up in 3 different places. The investigator helped organize it into a timeline, what was faked, what was real, and how it all connected. Dates, screenshots, call records, emails, photos from security cameras, even receipts from the man who had been hired to spy. She could have gone to the police right away, but she didn't. Not yet. Instead, she waited, collected, watched, because now, for the first time, the truth wasn't just in her head. It was right there, in files and pictures and video. And when the time came to speak up, no one would be able to deny what really happened. She didn't need to rush. She had time. The story would come out soon enough. Everything was ready, but one more piece was missing. A truth spoken out loud. Not just written lies or digital tricks, but real words from the one who caused the damage. A confession, something that couldn't be denied or explained away. So a new online profile was made. A different name, a different face, someone fresh. A friendly message was sent, casual and light, just enough to catch attention. The reply came fast. He was curious, flirty, and quick to brag. The tone was familiar, full of pride, full of ego. He didn't ask too many questions. He liked the attention too much. The chat started small. Simple talks, jokes, little stories. Bit by bit, the conversations moved from text to voice. Every call was recorded. Nothing was left out. The more comfortable he became, the more he shared. He thought he was talking to someone new. Someone impressed by his charm. He spoke about the past like it was a game he had won. He hinted at things he had done, smiling through his words. The lies he told, the things he planted, the people he fooled, it all spilled out slowly, like a puzzle putting itself together. One night, after drinking, the mask slipped. He spoke louder, laughed more, and forgot to be careful. He said, "It was all me. The texts, the photos. I made it all." And everyone believed it. His laugh was sharp, full of victory. She never saw it coming. I told Derek she was cheating. I showed him the proof I created. He left her without a second thought. The words hit like thunder. No guessing, no maybes, just truth, plain and ugly. That recording was saved in 3 places. Sent to a lawyer, backed up in cloud storage, and locked in a private folder. Nothing was left to chance. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about justice. Quiet, steady justice. No need to speak yet. No warnings. No arguments. Just patience and proof. Every lie now had a voice. Every cruel act now had a date and a time. The story wasn't just a rumor anymore. It was evidence, cold, clear, and ready. And this time, there would be no escape. The recordings were real. The voice was clear. There was no doubt who was speaking or what he was saying. Every word was full of pride, full of cruelty. Now it was time for the world to hear the truth too. The video was edited carefully. Only the important parts were used. The fake name and profile were never shown. Just his voice, just his words. The part where he laughed about making fake messages. The part where he said he ruined someone's life and got away with it. The part where he bragged about lying to his own brother. All of it was put together in one short video. The upload was done anonymously. No names, no faces. Just a title that said, "He framed her and laughed about it." It was posted on a popular video platform where people shared real-life stories. No one expected what happened next. Within hours, the video was being shared everywhere. People commented nonstop. Some were angry, some were shocked, and many believed it without question. "How could someone do this?" one person wrote. "This guy should be in jail," said another. By the next morning, it had over 1 million views. By the next day, it had millions more. News pages started picking it up. Blogs talked about it. Even small podcasts made episodes discussing what had happened. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had something to say. Someone from his workplace saw the video. It didn't take long before it reached his boss. Calls were made. Messages were sent. He was asked to step away from work. Unpaid leave. No warnings, no time to explain. The company didn't want to be linked to someone who could do something like that. He tried to deny it, but it was his voice. His words. There was nothing he could say that would change it. Meanwhile, a letter was sent, sealed and official. It was addressed to someone who once walked away without asking a single question. Inside were printed messages, real phone records, maps, security camera stills, and a copy of the video. Everything was laid out in a clear timeline. What happened? When it happened? How it happened? The package arrived in the morning. He opened it alone. The truth stared back at him, one page at a time. The same woman he left in silence had given him nothing but facts. His phone buzzed again and again that day. Not from support, but from shock. From people asking, "Did you know?" And one message stood out the most. It was from the woman he had started dating after the divorce. She had seen the video. She had read the letter. And now she was gone too. There were no second chances left. The world now knew what really happened. And the person who thought he had won was now watching it all fall apart. Slowly, piece by piece. The revenge didn't come with shouting or threats. It came quietly, through truth, through proof, through the same silence he once used to destroy someone else. Now that silence belonged to him. The video kept spreading. People continued sharing it. Each day, more eyes saw what had happened. The truth could not be hidden anymore. Some people were shocked, some were angry, and some started looking deeper into who the man in the video really was. Not long after, the woman Jake was dating found out everything. She had believed his stories before, but now she had proof he had lied, not just once, but many times. She felt betrayed and humiliated. At first, she went quiet. Then she decided to hit back. She posted private photos of Jake online. Photos he had sent her before, meant to stay between them. Now they were out for everyone to see. The pictures spread fast. Jake tried to have them taken down, but it was too late. People already had copies. The damage was done. People who once stood by him stepped away. No one wanted to be connected to him anymore. His phone stayed silent. His inbox was full of angry messages and people asking if it was true. One night, someone spray-painted words across his apartment door. Words like liar and abuser. A neighbor called the building manager, but by the time anyone came, more damage had been done. Broken glass. Scratched walls. His place didn't feel safe anymore. A few days later, while walking to his car, someone recognized him. They didn't stop to ask questions. They hit him hard. A cut across his face and bruises down his side. He called for help, but no one came. He sat on the ground, bleeding, and finally realized everything was falling apart. Meanwhile, the woman he had hurt said nothing. She didn't post. She didn't respond to messages. She didn't explain. But she watched. Each time something new happened, she sent a note to her lawyer. A short message with proof. A screenshot. A link. A photo. Her case was growing stronger. Every detail was saved. Every update added to the file. It was no longer just about lies. It was about public harm, about humiliation, about pain. The case wasn't just solid. It was now unbreakable. People who once doubted her now stayed quiet. Some even sent apologies. Others said nothing but unfollowed Jake and deleted old posts. The truth had changed everything. She didn't celebrate. She didn't smile. But she knew one thing clearly now. Justice was no longer a dream. It was coming. The court date finally arrived. The case that had started in silence was now official. Papers were filed. Witnesses were listed. Evidence was prepared and checked again and again. Nothing was rushed. Everything was clear. The other side tried to avoid the trial. A message was sent through a lawyer, an offer to settle things quietly with money. But the answer was no. This wasn't just about money. It was about the truth, about clearing a name that had been dragged through the dirt. In court, the room was quiet when it all began. The judge listened as each side shared their story. But only one side had the proof to back it up. One by one, the facts were shown. There were phone records that didn't match the story told before. There were screenshots of fake messages created to frame someone. There were recordings of a voice bragging about lies. Every file had a time and date. Every photo matched a timeline. Nothing was guessed. Nothing was missing. The court also saw reports from a private investigator. He shared what he had found, how one person had cloned a phone number, followed someone without their knowledge, and lied again and again to hurt them. There were emails and payment records. Everything was linked. It wasn't just about fake messages anymore. It was about control, about fear, and about harm. Emotional abuse was proven. Blackmail was shown. And even stalking was part of the case. What had started as one lie had turned into something much darker. Witnesses were called. A few people who had stayed silent before now spoke the truth. They admitted they had heard things or seen things and didn't say anything. Now they wanted to make it right. The person who had done the harm stayed quiet during most of it. There was no way to explain what had already been recorded, printed, and saved. The lies were too many. The truth was too strong. When the trial ended, the judgment was clear. The court ruled in favor of the one who had been hurt. Damages were awarded, money to cover what was lost, from work to mental health to personal harm. But that wasn't the most important part. What mattered most was the public record. A final statement from the court said the cheating story was false, that everything told against her had been created with bad intent, that she was innocent, that her name was clean. It was written down. It was official, and no one could ever take it back. The pain hadn't vanished, and the time lost couldn't be returned. But now there was something solid, something true, something the world could see. After the trial, people talked. Some were surprised. Others said they had always felt something was wrong. But this time, no one dared to argue. The truth had been spoken where it mattered most, in a courtroom, under oath with proof. And justice had finally arrived. After everything was over, the days became quiet again. The pressure was gone. No one was asking questions, and nothing needed to be explained. Life moved forward. One evening, she sat at her desk and opened her laptop. She began writing on a blank page. She didn't include names or details that pointed to anyone. She just wrote what had happened step by step from beginning to end. She left out emotions. She wrote clearly and simply. She posted the writing online without her name. It went on a small website where people shared personal experience. At first, only a few people read it. Then others began sharing it. Some wrote comments. Some said they had gone through something similar. A few websites picked it up. Then a podcast mentioned it. She didn't respond. She didn't tell anyone it was hers. She didn't want attention. She just hoped it would be useful to someone. Work started again slowly. She opened a consulting service, focusing on helping people manage their online safety. It was quiet work, mostly one-on-one. She gave clear advice. Clients came by word of mouth. Some had read the blog and found their way to her. She didn't talk about her past. She focused on the work. The person who had caused her harm wasn't around anymore. No posts, no updates. His name no longer came up. He stayed out of view. People moved on. Sometime later, a letter arrived. It was handwritten and long. It came from someone who had once believed the lies. He wrote that he was sorry. He said he hadn't asked questions and regretted it. He wished he could take it back. She read the letter quietly. Then she folded it and put it in a drawer. There was no reason to reply. That night, she turned on her computer. On the screen was the folder that had held everything: files, dates, recordings. It had been there for a long time. She looked at it for a while. Then she clicked delete. The folder was gone. She closed the laptop and sat back in her chair. The work was done. Thanks for watching and for your support. It really means a lot. Do you think she did the right thing by staying silent, or should she have spoken out? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated.